We're back. Them Brothers from Inglewood podcast once again, coming to you live and direct. I have a very interesting topic that I want to launch and sort of discuss. Hopefully, you will chime in and allow us to see some of the things that are in the comment area. But before I get going, I just kind of want to recognize our sponsors. Thanks to the Coalesce Group. Thanks to Fruit Off the Vine Clothing Apparel for what you're doing with the women and the young girls in our community. Thank you so much for building their self-esteem and allowing them to grow and to develop in their own skin. Thank you so much for the information that you have provided and so many other things that you are doing. Thank you for allowing us to partner with you and to be a part of this relationship because it's growing and it's beneficial to all of us. U2 clothing and raiment is a huge part of a lot of our communities. So many people are into fashion. I've been hearing so much about, the superstar basketball player Westbrook, and a lot of criticism and scrutiny towards his way, and I don't think that it's fair to take shots at the young man, especially if you don't have a personal relationship with him. There's speculation, and then there's opinion. So we all have an opinion about what we see in society. However, we all are entitled to our pursuit and the way that we do things. But I like Westbrook. He's a local. He's a standout. And I think he's a great businessman. And we know that he's an awesome athlete. So my prayers are with him as it relates to whether he cares or not cares about what people's opinions are. But my heart is bent towards him and how he and his family is processing this. And then there's some others who came on in a similar fashionable way that has caused scrutiny. However, to each his own. And I just want to say that, everybody has their own choices and decisions that they make. So I'm not going to be biased in that whatsoever. I want to say this before I introduce the topic and just kind of talk to you for a few moments. This has really been on my heart. It's been weighing, for days, weeks, just because of the association that I may have with different individuals and in all walks of life, whether it's, different ethnicities or different genders. However, I want to introduce the topic titled Coping with Loss. Coping with loss. There are many things that we can consider a loss. There's many things that we have to deal with and cope with on a regular basis. However, nothing is too small. Nothing is too big. I think that we process things in life, in our personal life, a different way. And I think that that's what makes us all unique. That's what really brings us together to add to the entire component of humanity. We all have the ability to do these things. And so me personally, I just kind of want to share some of the things that I'm dealing with, some of the things that I'm going through. And like I said, please, by all means, chime in and let's see what's going on. What's going on with your Dart Stamps? One of the greatest trainers in the state of California, as well as across the nation. Good to hear from you, bro. It's all good. This is something that I'm going to be pretty much specific and place emphasis here, because we all have experienced loss. We all process it differently. I want to come from this perspective. I've had some situations that occurred in my life over the years that I considered serious. I considered it, traumatic. I considered it a turning point in my life. And so when I speak of coping with, coping with loss and dealing with these challenges, I'm really trying to bring out dialogue. I'm really trying to help people talk about the things that they're going through. We all process it differently, but I think if we talk about it, of course, with those that we can trust, those that will hold our conversation in confidence, I think that we need that outlet. How do we cope with challenges in our life? How do we process loss? What is that? What does that mean to us in everyday life, in real time? I think that our value systems are different too. A lot of things that has been most impacting to me has been things that are, more principled, more, I would say on a human relational standpoint, not so much in material loss. I know a lot of people have lost a lot of materials because I've lost a lot of materials in my life, but I don't think those equated or impacted me as much as some of the emotional things, some of the sentimental things, some of the things that are, more on the humanity side. That's, pertaining to people passing away, people getting sick, people moving away, losing friends, losing loved ones, losing comrades, losing associates. I think those were more impacting to me than the materials that I lost. But, you may have a different experience. You may have lost quite, a deal. It may have been, just a real serious loss that you have taken in your life. But how do we cope with that? How do we deal with that? A lot of times we have to be careful because these situations will lead us on a different path. It will change our hearts. It will change our mindset. It will cause us to be emotionally damaged, traumatized. It will create anger, bitterness. All types of things can derive from loss and how we process that. And so I felt like this was an important topic to discuss, and this is something that we need to table, because this is why, or one of the reasons why, we have so much depression, so much suicide and suicidal thoughts and addictions, whether it's sexual addiction, drug addiction, alcohol addiction, some type of chemical addiction, pills and so many other things. I think that, if we really begin to talk about some of the things that we're experiencing, I believe that we'll tap into resources that we can trust, resources that are proven, resources that will be beneficial to us personally and in the long run. So when I talk about, the things that I lost, emotionally, sentimentally, money and materials can't replace those things. You can't, gain or regain some of those things and, replace a human being, replace a person. I think that those are the things that stay with us for a long period of time. It doesn't go away right away. I was told many years ago by a wise man. He said, when you talk about death and you're faced with this reality and a loved one goes home or transitions, well, sometimes you're able to get past it, but you never get over it. And when he said that, that was so profound, because you do get to other levels and dimensions of that loss, but you rarely forget that individual, especially if there was one who served a significant, aspect in your life. They were giving you wisdom, life lessons, great experiences, great memories, laughter. They were with you in the tough times. They were helping you figure things out. I think those are things that a lot of people suppress. We don't necessarily talk about whether or not we're affected by certain things, but we're real quick to voice our dissatisfaction, our opinion about the materials that we lost. Oh man, I was messing with Hoop, and I was listening to an idea that he had, and I invested in something and I didn't get a return. I lost my money. I just, it was like a bad deal. And it's almost like we will put those type of things above the human aspect of that relationship. Do you allow relationships to go bad, to go sour, when someone wrongs you or someone does something that you don't like? Do you say, okay, I'm done altogether with that human being? Or do you find a way to at least share your thoughts or share your position? And if you don't want to break bread anymore, that's fine. That's your decision. But I just think that a lot of relationships are broken based upon a lack of communication. Someone processing a situation differently. Someone that has truly misinterpreted or felt misrepresented. Either way, I think it merits a conversation. I think we should have that conversation. I think that we should, at least share our feelings and give our points pertaining to what has transpired. And a lot of times, these relationships don't get repaired, and normally it builds and it builds and it grows until the next funeral. Or it's sad to say, but it seems like we as people of all ethnicities, whether you're Asian, Caucasian, African American, Jewish, Italian, whatever your ethnicity is, we've seen these situations occur in and through our lives. And a lot of people stop talking. They hold grudges. They're angry. They're upset. They do all these things, and they avoid the reality that you should talk about it. You should, voice your opinion. And so what happens is now there's a greater loss, because that person or those persons are still living. They're still existing. And then something tragic happens where someone reaches their demise, and then we get in the same room, and it's almost like, wow, I wanted to say this, or I should have said that, or, and it's like too late between you and that individual, because it can't be reconciled at that point. Someone has transitioned. They met their demise. So I think for myself that it's important for me to share and speak to a situation that bothers me or that I'm having difficulty with. And especially when it turns into separation, division, loss. That's different than me losing a vehicle, losing a house, losing clothes, losing jewelry, losing money, finances. And you know how people can be about money. Money is always a major issue in all relationships, whether it's marriage, friendships, associations, money is like a really, really tough hurdle to jump. Although, when we look at scripture, the Bible says that the love of money is the root to all evil. Not money. It's not money itself. It is how we process and what we think about, or our mentality towards money. And I think a lot of times it becomes a serious issue with those that are trying to, make sense of a negative situation, because all we concentrate on is the loss. So coping with loss on the major scale is something that we need to learn how to manage. Well, why you say that? I say that because I think about our youth. I think about the young people. I think about the generation behind us, the generation that's coming. I think about what example or what actual, I would say, what is the resolve for the young people? I talk about this a lot because young people are our future. Young people are significant. They're palatable. They're impressionable. They can be actually shaped and molded at such an early age. So when I think about coping with loss, I think about the future. I think about what's behind us. That's how we, and I can speak this way, as an African American people, as a black people. I don't mind the reference of being black. I'm proud to be black. Although we're brown people, our skin is brown. Some are darker than others, but ultimately we have been labeled by a system, a society, and we have been distinguished by race as black, as African American. And a lot of people look at it as a negative. A lot of people look at it as, this is a process that, just represents negativity. And so I know, and you who are black, that black is beautiful. We have variations to our skill set, our ability, our talent. It speaks for itself. The endurance, what we had to endure to get to this point. So I'm not just separating races by the system that we've been exposed to, but I am saying that we have a responsibility to care for our youth. And if we don't do that, then we're doing our young people a disjustice. When we look at loss in a way of not regaining, then I think we do ourselves an injustice. We actually begin to, take off the layers that are most important. If we think a certain way about this system, about one another, and it's in a negative context, then that's how we're going to usually act. We're going to follow suit on something to that degree. But is it because we truly have a legitimate reason to distance ourselves from that situation and that circumstance, or is it something happening down on the inside of us that we haven't been strong enough to deal with? So we process loss in a way of retreating. We retreat. We run for cover. We handle it alone. We go through it by ourselves. Is it because we're not courageous enough to table it and talk about it? Or is it because we feel like no one is going to understand, no one is going to have empathy, no one is going to make suggestions? Are we too proud to ask for help because we don't want to seem weak, we don't want to seem vulnerable, especially as black men? I just think that because we are black men, and I'm not excluding black women, but I think because we are black men, we're automatically leaders. We've already been placed in headship. When God created everything, Adam was in charge, a male. And I'm not saying this in a way to where I feel like men should just dominate women. I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying that there is a pecking order. There is a system that has been in place so that men can take their rightful role or take their rightful place. So I think it's our responsibility to show young people, especially young men, young boys, young guys that are in adolescence. It's up to us to have the conversation, to share our experiences and how we can give them tools or give them a resource that they can jump the hurdle. Coping with anything is tough, not to mention loss in itself. Coping with challenges, whether it be economic, whether it be mental, physical, whether it's health issues, whether it's relationships, whether it's marriages, associations, friendships, it can be tough when we look at this system, and we're always looked upon as, and I'm not speaking this negatively into the atmosphere. I'm just, saying what it is. Society has already placed us as black men, black people, in a certain category. We have to be 2 and 3 times smarter. We have to be 2 and 3 times better. We have to overcome the stigma of being an entertainer versus being an intellect, or just being creative, being a gift, having the ability to contribute to society. So we're already up against it. And I'm not saying that we don't excel and can excel, because we have and we are. But I think how we deal with these challenges are very contagious. It's almost like what slavery did to our people over 400 years ago. It left a brutal and indelible impression upon us in a way that it divided the race. It created this mentality, this oppression, created from a system designed to crush humanity. Not all humanity, but African Americans, those slaves that were brought over here from Africa. We fell under, our ancestors fell under a system. So how do you cope with that? And how do you see it in your mind's eye as loss, gain? What is your thoughts pertaining to how this has affected us as a people? And I know somebody is going to say, well, bro, we're all individuals. We got to fend for ourselves. We got to make it happen on our own, no matter what. I get the independence part. I do. But no one is an island. We all need help. We all need assistance. None of us have gotten to a certain place alone. Now, I'm not saying that your journey didn't start out pretty much, on your own. I mean, sometimes we had to grind. We had to get it, like the young people say, get it out of the mud, We had to grind it out. And I don't believe that the grind will ever stop. I believe that as long as we're existing and we're in this body, we're going to have to grind it out. And so I wanted to come on to specifically say that if we're not man enough, woman enough, and courageous enough, I'll just say that. If we're not desperate enough for change, change and self-improvement, then it's going to be worse with the next generation. Because if we're not talking and we're not sharing and we're not empowering, how will the generations behind us become what we need them to be? Kids are really impressionable. They take a look at their surroundings. They see more than they talk about. So are we willing to allow our youth to become a product of this is not a positive environment, not sharing with each other, not wanting to help each other, not encouraging each other, not loving each other, not being a team player, not being a partner, not showing the team effort? That's painting a really, really negative picture to the young people that's coming behind us. If you really notice, we got staggering situations with marriage. There are so many divorces that have taken place in the last 25 years that has just blown away the thought and the idea of what this union was all about. Okay, I understand some marriages, they don't work. I get that. However, there was a time when marriages stayed together, or people stayed in the marriage because they had a team concept. They had a team orientation. And it wasn't just about them as an individual, but it was about the family. So the family structure was very important, and no one wanted to commit to breaking the family structure. But, things happen. I'm not saying that they don't. Things really do happen. However, we have to find a way to come together and cope with loss. Most of you know that we lost our paternal grandmother in August. We were fortunate to have her homegoing celebration on last week. And, when you think about the history, 92 years of age, she would have been 93 on Sunday, September 19th. But the wealth of knowledge and information that went into eternity. The body went into the ground, went into the grave, and it's hard to get back that information if we hadn't tapped into it while she was living. So what are you saying? I'm saying that a lot of times the emotional aspect of what we deal with is more impacting than the actual practical or material thing that we lose. And how we deal with that, we need intervention and we need a conversation. And then sometimes you don't find the words, but just having someone there to share and to bounce off of is enough. Because if you do that regularly and enough, then the conversations will pick up and they'll begin to flow all over again. So this is something that I really wanted to talk about. I want to continue to talk about, because how we process things that happen in our life, how we process loss, can be very, very detrimental, to our progress. And so I'm gonna end this segment by saying that we have to table these things. We have to sit down and have a sound discussion. You don't always have to agree. It's not about always agreeing, but I think that it's best not to be disagreeable, because you're not going to always agree on everything. However, we learn how to share and how to take what we need and throw back what we don't need. So tune in. we're going to come to you again Thursday. We'll release something for Friday. And I just wanted to do this live so that, we can kind of get back in gear and start really discussing more heartfelt and personal, up-close issues so that we can find resolve. There's no man or one woman who has all the answers, but we're looking to grab information even from you. So I want you to go to the YouTube page, like, subscribe, and share. Ring the bell for the notification so that we will be able to bring you new content so that you can follow suit. I've been, trying to work with a couple of tech people so they can add the bells and whistles to, what we're trying to do. And so I just want you to continue to support, share this content, let them know that our station is here on YouTube, and we look forward to coming to you again live and direct. Take care. I just wanted to hit you with this live. Peace. We out.